Hey, this is Shellie with Who's Up Hutch, and today I have Greg Flores with us here, and we're going to learn a little bit about him. Hey Greg, nice to have you here.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. We're going to start out with an easy question. How long have you lived in Hutch?
I was born and raised here, 43 years.
Just a few years then, huh?
Yeah, just a few.
All right. So, what is your absolute favorite thing about living here in Hutch?
Most favorite thing about Hutchinson, probably the fact that obviously I've lived here my entire life, but it's one of the places that no matter where you go, you always feel like you want to come back.
Right.
You go on vacation, think, man, this is nice, but too big, too small,
Sure.
so too hot, too cold, So
I know, Hutch has been pretty hot this week.
Hutch's got a pretty good blend. You
Yeah.
get all your seasons, and you generally have pretty nice weather.
Right.
So I can't complain too much.
Sure. Excellent answer.
Hmm.
So, what is your favorite thing to do in Hutch?
Well, those who know me, they know I play golf.
Right.
So that's probably my most favorite thing to do. Just play golf.
We have some great courses. Which one's your favorite?
Well, and I played them all.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to say my favorite is Prairie Dunes.
Right.
But I'm a Cary Park player, so
You spread the love.
Yeah, Cary Park is is probably. Well, I'll always play Cary Park,
Right.
no matter what.
Okay, great. So, what brought you, or you've lived here all your life, so what makes you stay here in Hutch?
Well, this is where that gets complicated because I was born and raised here.
Right.
Almost all of my family remains in Hutchinson, with a few exceptions. They've left town.
Mm-hmm.
My kids love it here,
Sure.
and our family business is located in Hutchinson and always will be.
Great. So, you mentioned family, and you have a lot of extended family here. Tell me a little bit about them.
Well, starting with my grandfather, Antonio Flores, came to Hutchinson via the railroad years ago. Now, I can't be exactly certain which railroad. I know he worked for the Santa Fe, but I'm sure he worked for other railroads. I'm not, I have, on both sides of my family, both my grandfathers worked for railroads.
Oh.
So, one of them worked for the Rock Island, one of them worked for the Santa Fe, and my grandfather Flores, when he got here, probably the late 50s, and maybe earlier than that, brought his family up from Texas, New Mexico,
Right.
and all my aunts and uncles were born along the railroad.
Wow.
Yeah. So my dad was born in Meade, Kansas, but I've got aunts born in Dodge, some born in Delhart, Texas, clear down to New Mexico.
So, what do you suppose made them settle here in Hutch?
I think when he got stationed here,
Mm-hmm.
oh, sorry, my eyes come in from outside. When he got stationed here, they found a place that they could call home.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't big, and everybody that was already born was probably school age, and so they just found a place for them to live, and they located on Avenue F, and lived there for a few years that I recall. What I know the story,
Right.
before they moved, because of the relocation, because of the Woody Seat Freeway being built. So they moved up to B Avenue,
Yeah.
and where my grandmother still lives today.
Wow. So you have just like a huge history here.
Yeah. And up and down B Street, the corridor there, we own, aunts and uncles, and
Sure.
we all own property there.
So you're all not only just in Hutch, you're very close.
Very close.
Very close. Some. So, what is your favorite Hutch memory?
Wow. See, it'd be better if I knew these questions beforehand.
There's a lot to choose from, probably. You've been here a while.
Obviously 43 years, you got memories of everything.
Sure.
State Fair, the old Clown Town amusement park.
Clown
When
Town
I was
awesome.
just a preteen, teenager. Obviously Main Street.
Sure.
All up and down Main Street for all the years that we lived here. Probably the rebirth of downtown.
Yeah.
Recently is probably the most vivid thing that
Sure.
that I think of it. But it's, when you live here your entire life, you don't really have
Just the one thing you
yeah,
can pick
you don't really
out.
have the one thing that makes you say, oh, this is the reason I'm still here. You know?
Right.
So, but you know, and it's probably the thing that keeps, you know, that keeps us here, keeps me here is, yeah, we know everybody. You know,
Sure.
you know, people who traded with us at a restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
their kids, their parents, their grandparents. You know, so we're seeing second, third, fourth generation of our customers.
So family's not important just for you. It's important for your business as well. You see a lot of family.
Absolutely.
It's just a really important thing all over.
That's what keeps us going.
Absolutely. So if you could change anything at all about Hutch, what would you change and why?
That's probably something I've never thought about.
Really?
You know, what would I change about Hutch? You know, I don't know that there's. That's a tough one. What would I change about Hutch? That's just too tough. There's just nothing. There's nothing that strikes me as, you know. I mean, it's recreational. You know, it's got history. I mean, you know, it's, you know, probably, you know, change the terrain. You know, it's just too flat. You know,
I hear you. A little
you know,
landscaping out there,
you know,
some hills.
a hill or two would be
Yeah.
nice. You know, I mean, we got a river that cuts right through it. You know, so that, you know, we got that covered. But
Sure.
you know, you look by and large. I mean, you look in four directions and you see the same thing. You know, just the horizon.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, you know, that's just, you know, that's about the only thing that I can say that's negative about Hutch is just too flat.
I'll give you that. There's pretty great town to live in.
It's pretty great.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for coming by and talking with me and let me get to know you a little bit, letting our viewers getting to know you.
Okay.
Really appreciate
Well, thanks for inviting me.
it. Thanks.